Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video. I was watching a video on this channel one time. As the title and the thumbnail suggests, it's a video on debunking Sadhguru. I had seen an earlier video made by the same person a while back, much more critical and brash, let's say offensive and comical, on the same topic on how Sadhguru is misguiding people spiritually. But this video, in his own words, was made specifically to connect and relate to the followers of Sadhguru and to tell them and to invoke their rational, sensible mind and see the flaws in what he is saying. And the way that he has made it is really nice. I really appreciate that. It's important to connect to and really understand how spirituality is done rather than just simply mock it or be incredibly offensive. When I saw the first video on Sadhguru, I had already moved on from that phase where I used to listen to him. When I saw this new one a few weeks back, I felt that I should share my opinion on this matter. Why? You dare ask why? Well, I'm fairly a spiritual person, one could say. I regularly do yoga, meditation, pranayama, and I'm kind of into some wacky shit, just a little bit. And I went through emotional, spiritual healing, and most importantly, I follow the yogic philosophy of life and try to live my life according to the yogic principles, and I orchestrate my decision and actions so that they will be as close as they can be to this philosophy. I have made a few videos on the yogic philosophy in India, so if you're interested, please check them out. It's been a long time since I've listened to any of Sadhguru's videos. Just some mantras and songs that they have produced over these years, and they are sublime, I have to tell you. But there really was a phase in my life that I used to listen to Sadhguru's videos when I followed his channels and gave a fair amount of weightage to what he said. This was back in 2018 and 19 till 2020, that is the beginning of COVID. I think it's quite impressive how he kept his ashram mostly out of contamination when COVID happened. So when I say that I listen to Sadhguru, what I really mean is the things that he called emotional engineering, or have to be emotionally detached and have to follow the yogic principles and the Hindu philosophy to have a life where you have no suffering, where your memory doesn't affect you, and where you are at peace with yourself and happy by nature. These are the things that he expounded at that time. That phase in my life was when I was going through a lot of healing and I was transitioning from an atheist to a spiritual person at a fast rate. Most of my friends at that time were left liberal or the far left, and obviously atheists. And the others that I knew were really religious. They were basically hopeless. Sorry. And there was this new kind of people entering my life. This specific kind who are deeply traumatized in their lives, especially in their childhood. And they were slowly coming out of that trauma. Who never found humans trustworthy, or they ever found peace with humanity. And they were really going through this healing process where they needed some kind of an anchor to hold on to while they were learning to love, to trust, and to form relationships again. So for these people, spirituality or the spiritual experiences that they suddenly open themselves to are the only things that they really can trust. You feel this loving energy coming from what you call the universe, and this love they felt when they were in connection with this universe, or when they were in touch with universe, is all that they had. And surprise, surprise, I was also one of them. You may look down on them, I don't know if you do, but there are people who think that these people were irrational. But imagine being abused in different domains of your life, like being simultaneously physically, sexually, mentally, and emotionally, and even financially abused from multiple people in multiple ways. That makes you broken on the inside and quite ill. And the medical sector in this world right now has no compassion or empathy enough to properly give them the help and support that they deserve and want. They are not able to help them, and instead they gaslight them into telling that nothing is wrong with you and try to put them down. This has been a pattern of experience for a lot of people worldwide, especially if you are deeply traumatized as a child. And for them, the universe, providence, or some kind of healing experience that they go through are all they have. That is the faith, trust, and to start feeling love within them. And that's all right to be that way. So, when I was in this phase, my main priority was to take control of my emotional well-being and to become at peace with myself. At that point, I was exploring all the past experience and trauma that I was having and finding ways to heal from them and reaching a place of acceptance. It was also the time when I finally realized that I was also very sensitive, mindful, an empath, and quite intuitive. I am still all of those things, of course, but that was the time when I was slowly beginning to accept that side of me, from being a stone cold, depressed person to a person who could feel incredibly deeply. Well, sometimes when I was really sad, he would appear either in my Pinterest feed or my Instagram feed or my YouTube feed with some story about Shiva, some way to look at my problems and what I was going through from a different perspective, or if I'm lost in my spiritual journey, to anchor me back and help me make sense of what was happening. A great example for this would be what he has said about karma. So in India, we have this belief that whatever you suffer in this life is a result of whatever you did in your past lives. But Sadhguru has an interesting take on karma.
Karma means action. Whose action? My action. Whose responsibility? My responsibility. Karma is the most dynamic way to exist in the sense. Karma essentially means, when you say, my life is my karma, it means my life is my making. The moment you see it's my karma, your successes and your failures are yours. The moment you see it is all yours, you will do the best you can. When you leave your destiny from your hands and think it just happens to you, we can call that fate. So crafting your destiny is possible, only possible for one who sees my life is my karma, whether he or she uses that word or not. In so many ways, human beings around the world have realized that it is their thought, their emotion, their actions, their focus and orientation within themselves which gets them where they want to go.
Also, what he talks about the past, present and future. There is only present if you really think about it. What you call past is your memory and what you call future are your expectations. That enables you to control your thoughts, your anxiety and your fears better. He had a loving aura, which also helped a lot. Like, if you are really anxious and scared and freaking out and you see this person who is calmly, lovingly explaining the things to you, you end up feeling at least a bit better, right? I was not a regular follower, or I was not keeping in track of whatever he was saying. I was not an ardent follower, or I've never been to his ashram to experience any of these things. I've not bought any of his courses, or I've not even read his book. Just that he had a great influence in my life at that point. even then I followed his teachings and words. There were things that I disagreed to, even at that point. And then he got very weird. Well, to list a few things quickly. He saw aliens in Mansarovar. His theories about Mount Kailasa and how Shiva put Kailasa there through some advanced technology. His affiliation with the occult that he calls dark mysticism. Him saying that he has never read Hindu scriptures or the Idihasas, but he continuously makes claims about them. And he has also said that he can make divine creatures like Kali and Bhairava to come alive and protect the earth. So when I said that I disagree with him because he hasn't read spiritual texts, I'm not being a fundamentalist. I'm just saying that when you are making claims about a historical figure or a spiritual figure or a religious figure, and that spiritual or religious figure is based on a specific text, a specific scripture, you really need to know about that scripture, which is the primary historical source, in order to make claims about them and in order to say anything authoritatively. And at different points I saw his followers or realized that he had a very loyal and devoted followers. And like in every ashram, they left behind everything that they had to come and live in his ashram. And probably they may have given away all their property and their wealth for his cause and his foundation. And then they worked tirelessly for him and the foundation. That's never okay in my opinion. Not the giving away part, the sannyasa part or the part of sacrifice, but where this money and this flow of wealth is going to. It is going directly to a foundation, and the chance that this wealth is going to be mismanaged, to say the least, or used for self-interest is quite significant. I'm not saying that Sadhguru did that. I'm just saying that the chance of it is always very high. And I always think, does Sadhguru has a cult following? When I say cult, I don't mean dangerous or criminal. The levels of cohesion and control in that social group is enough. When you are in a spiritual place or in a very closed group that follow a very specific set of beliefs, a follower's mind can get quite warped and twisted and submissive to somebody, to a point that they cannot think for themselves. That in itself is quite dangerous. But like I said, I don't know much about that because I've never been a part of his ashram, never visited his ashram, never read his book. I don't know anything about the inner engineer technology that he offers. I have not done the Sudarshana Kriya, anything basically I have not done. Nor have I met any of those sadhus or monks living there and helping his foundation group. So obviously this is all my perspective, my take on it. And like I've said in my book review of Akhora series, I could be wrong. About the occult, about mystic arts, about making Kali and Bhairava, about cursing people, about doing black magic. I could be misinterpreting things or just ignorant. But if this is all true, then you need to prove that. So along the way of my spiritual practice, I read Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. It's an amazing book. I also follow the words of Jiddu Krishnamurti. I read Bhagavad Gita, I read Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and I really went deeper and deeper into the spiritual experience in a purely rational way. When I say rational, what I mean is that I really learned about them as a student. I practiced them, I constantly questioned them, I tried to prove them wrong, I tried to prove them right. I experimented on them, and I really accept the fact that I could be wrong and I need to know that I'm not wrong, and this is what works for me. So I believe in the philosophy of this land. I practice Ayurveda, yoga, and have great respect for the Hindu philosophies and the way of life that they propound. It's getting dark outside. The Hindu philosophy is a dying philosophy, despite the fact that the majority population in this nation is Hindu. Because even though most people identify themselves as Hindus, even the religious people, they don't understand the philosophy or the way of life that is talked about in Bhagavad Gita. But that's where I ground myself. I hope you like this video, and please tell me in the comment section if you agree or disagree with me. Have you been closely related to Sadhguru? Am I wrong about his ashram? Am I right about his ashram? What do you think of him? Please tell me in the comment section. And before the sun completely goes down, I'm going. Don't forget to subscribe. My greatest dream was to become an author and share awesome stories with you guys. I've published my first book, a novel named Life in a Ziploc Bag. It's the story of 4 kids living in a city with their unique life experiences. They are connected by the chaos in their lives, which are fueled by drugs, abuse, and isolation. I don't want to give it all away right here. You can check it out on Amazon or Flipkart. It's also available for direct buying. All these links are given in the description. If you are interested, please go and check it out and grab your copy right now. Thank you.